Okay, so for today's episode, it's very special because now we're back in the studio, aka Sarah's house.
Yep.
What, she put up big curtains on the wall for soundproofing.
Mm-hmm.
I did not, but there are curtains. And they are drawn, so we don't have neighbors staring at us.
Good, I can get naked.
Wait,
Please
what?
don't.
No, the curtains go back up.
Please.
Not to body shame anybody. It's just that I think I already said this before. It's just really weird to think about.
No, humans are gross. That's a fair fact. Humans are just gross.
But, like, sexy.
Yeah, okay, well.
Some sexy grossness.
I
cite Christina Aguilera's Dirty. That was tetanus.
I'll
in
give
music
it to
video
you.
form.
No, I'll give it to
So
you
sexy.
because as an asexual, I don't really, I can appreciate the human form, but it's not,
Skip the
that-
appreciation. Go straight objectification.
It-
That's way better.
I can't.
Just
I
take
just
it.
don't. Okay, well, the
Watch some
faking
TMZ. You'll pick up on some lingo. It's fine.
Urban Dictionary helps too.
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you can really call someone a good pipe fitter.
Or
Then.
you can just read literally any book or watch whatever you show, and there's all the romance and garbage you can possibly want all wrapped
No,
up.
there's no romance on television. It's just pretty people in proximity, and that's why they're attracted to each other.
Yeah, this is a really big problem that I have where any television show, it seems like that they work at the office or like Brooklyn 99, right? Like they all are immediately attracted to each other and then they get married off. And like that doesn't, for some reason, why does that make any sense? Like it doesn't make any sense
it
at all.
falls back on the writers who thought that the only way to actually attain a relationship was just attrition. That's all it is. Just eventually I'll break down the walls and you will succumb because that was all the media I was taught growing up. That or else I'd just sexually assault you. And you find that fine because the 80s was a gross, gross time. Revenge of the nerds.
I think the 60s weren't any better.
60s at least had some, like, female empowerment.
Dude.
As opposed to the 80s where it was just cocaine-fueled men raping women.
Like in the Grease musical, the song, right? And they say, oh, did she put
Movie
up
from
a
the
fight?
80s.
Was it?
Movie from the 80s.
Oh, gosh.
Disgusting. Is this the cold open? I feel like this must have been the cold
No,
open.
this is our topic.
This is
Just
not our
good to be
topic.
back.
This is absolutely not our topic.
Here's the real one. Isn't it obvious that when people talk about how much they paid for something back in the day, they should use, instead of saying I paid $90, they should say I paid 90 Carter dollars or 90 Reagan dollars or 90 Bush dollars, Papa Bush, 90 Clinton dollars. Like I had this problem talking with the older generation about like how much a car costs, and it was really confusing because I didn't know what era they're talking about. And it's kind of strange because it's like, oh, you would normally mention I'm buying like a 2001 Geo Prism or something. They didn't make it in 2001, but just bear with me. But when they talk about, oh, my first car, it was only, it was $3,000. I don't understand how cars can be so expensive now. And I'm like, wait, when did you buy this car? It's like, oh, right after college. It's like, when did you graduate college? Oh, just like what normal people do. It's like, okay, but you're not giving me a time frame of when this happened.
It was 4 years after high school.
Right. It's like, oh, and then
That was 4 years after middle school. That was 3 years after elementary school.
It's like can you give me a date to anchor this? Because I don't know what time frame this
Phil
is.
just rude to ask someone their age. And people just live forever, and timing is irrelevant.
People do seem to live forever.
They do. Some people just won't die. Sorry, grandmother. I might love you, but just give up.
Sarah, I have some bad news. Your mom just texted me.
Why would she text you?
I don't know.
Does
Your mom's
she?
pretty rude.
She is. Anyway, what? Sorry?
Um.
What even was that?
Don't know how to get this back. So
Okay, presidential dollars.
it should be presidential dollars.
Why
It should be
presidential?
because I thought maybe it should be like based off sitcoms or some popular media at the time, but then it's
No,
like
those run.
No, because then
Too
they
long.
have zero reflection of the current
or
reality.
real
anyway.
impact on
Well,
the money, whereas at least the political administration of the time of that 4-year period does kind of have some effect on
Well,
it.
you just have to think of what astrological sign we were at when they purchased their car, and then you'll know.
wood and ox. So you take the wood elements and then like the material
Is it
elements.
yin or yang though? You gotta know this also.
No.
There's
It
very important. So I don't know what you
was
guys
or
are.
was not
but
Mercury in retrograde.
Sarcasm detected. Sarcasm detected. Sarcasm. No, I think it should be Okay, there's a problem if you say that based off like the administration because it makes it sound like they were responsible, which I don't believe.
So you need
is
to
true.
incorporate the greater geopolitical context. So if I were to say that after college in 1976, I bought a car for $4,500 and worked it off working my summer job making $7 an hour, because that's just what it was paid, but my rent was also $150 a month.
Yep.
Cries.
It should be.
And even though it was amidst
millennial
the
tears.
early
Gen X.
OPEC oil boom that really was there just to lampoon the Carter administration because more Republicans were throwing in favor for OPEC to throw it around to make it look bad so they can win back the House in the 80s.
It won.
It did,
worked.
Yeah, it worked. Mm-hmm. It's certainly not something that is happening again.
Certainly not. We learned as an American populace to look at shenanigans at face value and be
And
like,
even
I
if-
like the cut of that person's jib.
It is so nice that even in this day and age, with political division what it is, both parties can sit down and agree that they should support the president, regardless whether they were in their party or not, and certainly should not praise the perceived and false foibles of an international meeting.
Okay, so here's my thought on that. Not to get too relevant. This podcast is originally recorded in June of 2021. So, okay, one of our co-hosts has finally left the table. Here is my thought. There's a problem, I guess, pegging it with an administration because it does sound like they did do something, which in most cases it was the previous administration before, and that shenanigan occurred, and then it's just on the watch of today. So, like, when I bought my first dwelling, or not bought, when I got the privilege of owning a bank, a mortgage, and a huge amount of debt, that was under the Obama administration. So it's like, oh, well, Obama dollars, it was like $100,000, right?
But was this like post-TARP return?
Yes.
Or pre-TARP return?
It was post.
Okay.
So like the idea is that like, oh, Obama is associated with that. And it's like, well, I mean, if you look at the history, you realize that there's a lot of shenanigans that were occurring prior to his watch. But still, nonetheless, it was during the Obama years, and it was when I got that at that value.
So your topic is that when you speak in historical terms about when large financial purchases were made, they should be attributed to the administration, even though you just made the argument that the administration had nothing to do with whether or not the economy was doing well, that financial purchase could have been made.
Hoisted on your own.
Maybe, right? Like, I like the idea of having some marker. Like, this is
You played too much of the devil's advocate that you devil advocated yourself on your own topic.
well, yeah.
You're full of devil argument sauce tonight, but
Let me
Saying
continue.
Obama is a good president, Satan.
I didn't say that. He's also a good president, but I didn't say that. No, here's my thought.
Sarah, do you see the pentagram on his forehead?
I knew it.
Okay, the Church of Satan is not what you guys think it is.
He has a
first of all.
666 like Post Malone.
That's from the
Crap, it makes
Catholic
it cool
Church.
now.
That's from my first religion, my birth religion. No, yeah, I highlighted like a negative to this idea, but I think the positives outweigh it. Just to be simply able to peg dollars to a time era.
So why not just say the year?
Well, because that's too long.
Is
like,
it? In
yeah.
1966 dollars, a car would only cost $3,500.
No, it's too much.
$1 in 1966 is like $2,500 now.
Too many numbers. It's like, hey, how much did you buy for that? Oh, I bought that.
Who's the president in 1966, Bill?
Clinton.
I remember going. I remember going with my mother to her work or whatever. It might have been take your kid to work day or something. For some reason, I was going with her in the morning to work instead of school or whatever. And we stopped to get gas, and she was complaining about $1.69. I remember it was $1.69 a gallon.
Nice.
And we're sitting here like, nice. But also nice.
Nice.
Never mind, I just got that. God damn it. See, I'm a little slow on the sexual joke uptake sometimes, okay?
That's okay.
Well, it was like playing San Andreas in the mid-aughts when gas was starting to get up. Like, it just broke $2 and everyone was shitting their pants about it.
Yeah.
And it was to the point where it was going up to like $2.50, $2.60, which, God, that sounds nice.
Yeah,
And-
it does.
And playing GTA, which takes place in like 93,
Mhm.
you drive by a gas station, it's like $1.25, and somebody in the game is complaining about it at $1.25, and you're like, you do not know the horrors that are going to befall you.
Yeah.
We are inching ever closer to Mad Max.
I I agree that when I talk with the older generation about what things cost, they're totally, to say it this way, divorced from reality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, how much does your school cost? It's like, well,
I worked part-time to pay it off. It was pretty expensive.
Right.
So
That's
did I mention I had a car repair today earlier before show stuff
Yes.
happened? Yeah. Okay. So I was talking.
Just
my
leave it. It's fine.
We're a
was
real
talking-
podcast now because we talk about stuff before the show. Sorry.
My goodness. So, you know, I was calling my dad to just complain about the fact that my old car's
Your
AC.
17-year-old car.
My 17-year-old car's AC finally, and I had it new, so I've had it for 17 years. The AC just crapped out on me, like right before the hottest fucking stretch of.
Most entertaining part, took a literal shit and just left a little bit of grease on the road.
Anyway, so my dad was like, "Oh, it's you just gotta take it in and get a charge to your AC. It's probably gonna cost you like $50." And I kind of laughed. I'm like, "Okay."
Wow.
I'm like, "Okay, I doubt it, but okay, we'll see." He's like, "It shouldn't be too expensive." And it wasn't bad, but it was
The
certainly
charge
more
was-
than 50. It was.
Wow.
The charge was.
It was 120, 130 bucks. 130 bucks. And I'm like,
My instant response.
that's
not that
That's not that bad,
It's not
no.
that bad.
Except for it is absolutely bad.
It is.
Like, I had this conversation with my father about, like, why he doesn't understand, or why I don't understand inflation, right? So he's like, well, how much does your house cost? And at that time, it was at 100,000 at the Obama dollars, right?
Mhm.
And then he's like,
Thanks,
oh,
Bush.
that's too much, like you should be getting something much more for that. And I was like, where are you getting your data from? It's like, well, back when I bought it, it's like back when you bought it was like Jimmy Carter was still around,
Yeah.
right? Like there is a totally different.
Back when you bought it, the population of America was like 100 million.
And back
Right.
when you bought it, houses were cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Were cheap.
there were laws in place where banks couldn't purchase property and then hold on to them and sell them at a ridiculous inflated rate because they control the property.
This episode is brought to you by BlackRock. BlackRock, making all of us renters forever. Okay, sorry, going back to the episode again.
Christ.
Well, the dream of owning a house for millennials is dead. But there's one other option. Infinitely pay to the ownership class that is now emerging as the new proletariat.
Oh yeah, I mean that's exactly what I signed up for when I was a little kid, watching
Mhm.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah.
All of my hopes and dreams right there.
Mhm.
Why can't we be more like Russia? Every day, I was just thinking like that.
I really can't wait until Blackwell and Amazon just get together and then we just have to have monthly subscriptions to everything.
So it's gonna be called.
Everything.
It.
Water allotment,
Oh yeah,
There was.
food allotment, we don't even get to pick. But you know what? Capitalism is so much better than that damn communist Russia.
it's it's just two vehicles that end up going to the same graveyard.
Pretty
Doesn't
much.
really
That's
matter.
the one.
They're
They're both
racing.
persons.
No, they're racing with each other to drive off the same cliff.
I mean, USA first of all. Right? We have
Oh yeah,
more horsepower.
We definitely have more horsepower. We're getting there first.
Ran on the blood of innocence, but
I mean, a lot of the technology from Japan, but aside the aside that point.
it's just a good thing
They're
that
helping us.
we have
They're helping
two
us doing really
real great humanitarians leading the charge into the future of Jeff Bezos, who everything needs to be 120% productivity for a man who does nothing and was handed a $250,000 interest loan by his parents
Yeah,
to
but
start Barnes and Noble online.
basically, I have to say $250,000 Clinton dollars.
It was $250,000, so that's like
Yeah.
$4 billion now.
I mean, basically,
Mhm.
you could buy at least 5 Whoppers now.
I don't know. Maybe the Impossible. No, those haven't gone down.
Those just-
And the great, the Tony Stark of real life, Elon Musk, who has his patent on exactly one Tesla sheet that was for the door handles. Everything else has been created by other engineers.
Yep.
And his dad owned an emerald mine in Africa, and he would just walk to school with pockets of tens of thousands of dollars of emeralds. So, just a normal guy.
Just normal people.
Mm-hmm.
Just normal, well-to-do, average
Yeah. No.
people.
But he was Wario on SNL, so he's a human.
I mean, debatable, but yes.
We should get him, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Zuckerberg in a room. See which one can Which of the three can pass the whatever test?
The Turing test?
No. They would just devolve into a circle jerk over perceived wealth that is incalculable because they're all so stupidly rich.
We might have to take a few seconds here. Well,
Just let it sit in your mind, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Mark Zuckerberg in a small windowless room with a single bare bulb swinging back and forth, and then just cranking it over their
Let's
imaginary
not.
in the middle.
Let's not. Just a pile of money in the middle.
No. There's even money there. They just talk about their money because their wealth is tied into stocks. Their wealth is imaginary.
No, it's a pile of money and emeralds.
Oh, God.
That's the only thing.
Everything's
Elon
green.
Musk is. You guys just don't carry emeralds in your pockets? That's weird. This is like, I mean, I have a diamond in my shoe, but that's my emergency diamond. It's worth like $2.3 million.
I mean, to be fair to
Let's
Elon
be
Musk
rich.
versus Jeff Bezos versus Zuckerberg, like, these are the people we do know, like, because they're stupid enough to be known, right?
No, they.
A little.
It's not that they're stupid enough to be known. It's there's more celebrity in being rich, and they've done quote unquote good things for their celebrity. They aren't the Kardashians.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know, the Walton heiress, you know, like the Sam Walton had.
Yeah, and if they were a public figure, much like how Amazon is doing all their horrible union-busting bullshit, the Waltons do that on the down low.
Yeah,
And
they're
plus, none of them are charismatic at all.
right. They're smart enough to just get out of the limelight, right?
Because they're also second-generation wealth. They don't want the limelight. Because it was Papa Walton that made it all,
right.
and now it's just Kid Waltons that have it.
I feel like there's a class that rich people take to be like, get out of the limelight,
Yeah, they
get
grow
under
up
the
that money.
radar, just have like they're. If you took the top 20 richest Americans, they're like top 10. Like the Walton family, they have done maybe
They're
top
four of the top 10.
4 of the top 10,
Yeah,
right?
4 different Waltons are in the top 10.
Yeah,
richest
because
Americans.
they didn't do anything. They just
Yeah.
happened to be in the right.
They spread it more. That's basically what they did. They went with the smart
They
business.
let their money make money.
Yeah.
No, but they went with the smart business move of let's just build a Walmart in every town over 5,000. Because they will go there because we can make it cheaper because we can buy more at a cheaper price than any small town store.
But we don't
And
target.
we have a monopoly in those cities.
Yeah.
And I mentioned Target, ironically, but we don't target Walmart as being a total crappy place, even though we used to.
Well, I mean, Walmart's fucking awful.
But
It is, but it's not as bad as it used to be.
it's not as.
Sure.
Well, okay.
So not
I
whipping your
caveat that.
slaves to death, but still whipping them for discipline
Yeah.
is slightly better.
I
It's,
wasn't
it's
talking about they're still awful as far as an employer. I was talking about like when you like actually walk into Walmart. But I could be wrong because I've been to several different Walmarts and I think it depends on your location and area.
No, it doesn't. All Walmarts have the same soul-crushing emptiness to them.
No, you go to a small town like up north and those Walmarts are soul crushing. But the ones here are different soul crushing.
Have you been to the one?
Yes.
That's,
Micah is
I
gesturing
Just
to
sell-
the one that we all know,
Yes.
so we're not going to mention
can't
it.
stay.
The can't say, but the
one.
Walmart with the shittiest parking lot alive.
Yeah.
God, I fucking hate that parking lot.
Uh-huh.
It's like they're just like you can't leave.
In the
We're
two
going to put in
top bars.
roundabouts that lead to roundabouts that bring you back to the roundabout.
Actually,
Welcome to
they got
Walmart.
a nice little escape route now. So
Yeah,
that's
that one's not bad, but still entering from that one south road is fucking hell.
yeah, it's
Yep.
fucking hell.
Why is this a one-way going the other way?
Ugh, it's the
Because
worst.
fuck you, welcome to Walmart.
You walk in
Stuck
there,
here forever now.
there's always a cop out front.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do not think they pay the city for that. There
Correct.
just is a cop there all the time.
Yeah.
And you walk in there and you're like, there's just this aura of just oppression.
Yeah, that's true. And all the like
Right.
employees are kind of like we've heard it all. We've
Yeah.
seen it all.
And customers are in there just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't want to be there either. But gotta say, they got a lot more stuff that you
that
didn't.
doesn't make it good.
No, but
Like if you go to a town that's within driving distance of a metropolitan area but still country, those are like the best Walmarts. Because that's like where small town poor can be like, I got a job at Walmart, I get a uniform.
Yes.
And you go in there and you're like, oh, you're actually at your wait, hold, are you okay? You're actually at your till.
yeah, that too.
Where else would I be? Oh my god.
Yeah, freeway Walmarts is what I call them.
Yeah.
Are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Inner city Walmarts are dangerous at night, and
Yeah.
small town Walmarts are just so sad. And I'm
Because
gonna
Suburb Walmarts are gross.
suburb
Yeah,
Walmarts.
because it's
Yeah.
all teenagers that work there.
Yeah.
If-
And then you
they
have,
give
like-
no fucks.
Yeah.
And you have
Rightfully
the,
so.
You have the
Yeah,
ones,
rightfully so.
You have the substitute teacher as the manager, and he's yelling at, I'm glad I gave you an F in biology.
Yeah. While he's the manager. I just.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, I couldn't say that. Please don't mention it to HR. All right, you can take an extra 15-minute break. It's fine. I just lost my cool.
They used to be in my head the worst, right?
I mean,
they
did give Kmart a run for its money. Or sorry, Kmart gave Walmart a run for its money because, oh my God, you walk in there and you just look at the floor and be like, why do you have 8 different aluminum or laminated tiles that don't match?
Walmart and
Randomly.
Kmart is just so gross. Oh, Kmart is
Yeah, Kmart's the worst.
Okay, so to tie this back in, because we have to tie this back in, I'm gonna say.
Well, you already refuted it. We were off topic. You refuted your own topic. We
No,
didn't have to convince you of it.
I said that
You
there
said
was,
it's obvious that we should, and then you gave clear reasons why we shouldn't.
I gave one very
like that.
clear reason why we shouldn't, but I still think it's important because Walmart dollars, like instead of saying Carter dollars, Walmart dollars are just depressing because
So you're saying that we should quantify economy based on the biggest financial contributor to the economy?
No,
So like, if you were to say I was,
Sears dollars.
I was 1960s rich
Macy's
because I
dollars.
worked at the Ford plant, and that was early union, and we got everything we fucking wanted because the union wasn't gross and corrupt yet.
yeah, that was sweet.
I think
It really
I
was.
prefer the administration dollars versus, or I mean, you might as well just stick to decades or something like 60s dollars.
Because early 90s dollars is way different than late.
Yeah,
90s.
and I would
That's
say
true.
that I don't like having like numbers and then referring to a number because it's confusing. So
I mean,
spent
$60
$90
and
Names
$72
are
and about
confusing,
3,500.
Phil. No, but it would help people like to remember who was in charge.
Or now hear me out.
Mm.
You just say the year in context.
No,
No.
When I graduated college in '78, a car was only $3,000.
That's too long. Too long. Just say,
That's a complete sentence, Phil.
yeah, just say, oh, Carter dollars. It was.
$78.
In Carter dollars compared to Trump dollars, it was like $77,000.
It was not that much. Probably. I don't know.
Carter dollar.
I feel like car dollars are still
No,
more
a Carter dollar in Trump's economy is worth like $5,000.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, it
I don't know.
depends on the thing, but like a home during the Carter era,
It was like $40,000.
it was like it was basically
40
No,
Carter
it was
dollars.
way less.
It was way less.
than-
No, that's for like a nice.
for a
suburban
nice
house.
suburban house.
Yeah,
It was about
maybe.
40
Some
grand.
pre-built with like all the nice stuff from Canada.
Yeah, I mean, we're not
40 grand.
talking about a time frame that long ago. Many
No,
of
you
these
could pay
homes,
$50,000 and actually have an architect design your home. Fuck, that's a novel idea, isn't it?
yeah, 50 grand back in the Carter time would get you a really nice home, and the homes that are selling in the metro cities area suburbs are mainly pretty old from the 70s and 80s. So you're talking about like, okay, let's go with the Reagan house or Reagan dollars, right? Like
Well, that's really cocaine dollars.
yeah, okay, cocaine dollars.
Okay.
We're talking about a home that might be pushing 60,000.
Probably
Probably
100
not.
If you're going with like top of the line, might have had an
Right.
in-ground pool.
So something like 85, the homes start to get kind of wonky. Now look at today, homes are just crazy. Like the
Yeah, I
prices
spent
are
$85,000 on my house built in 1911.
Like
There's no insulation.
My,
It's just solid wood.
my brother bought
Nice.
a house recently for
With
like
termites.
a little over $500,000, and it's a nice house. It's a big house.
Its wiring is garbage. It was built in the 90s.
It's fine. It's a fine house. There's a lot.
Just
No,
wait till he starts having electrical issues. It's gonna be real fun.
he's actually no. So far, it's
How long has he been there?
you just got to
not
get
quite a year, but
the ghost has to get out first.
yeah,
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
wait for that
it's-
poltergeist to come alive.
But like really freaking expensive house. It was not worth that much. Probably
When it was built, it was
5 years
maybe
ago. No,
it was
5
probably
years ago.
$200,000 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 years ago. That's not that long. You know. My house
God,
5 years
what?
ago.
No, yeah.
Was
What happened
trash, and now it's fucking
at the federal level?
so much money right
Yeah,
now.
it's
If I sold, I could make.
yeah, but then you would have to buy.
Yeah,
But then I have to
yeah.
buy.
What
Where else
house
am I
would you
going?
buy for what you
I
sell
would
this
go.
for?
I would go live with my brother his really nice, fancy-ish home.
But then
Stay
you're
there and wait until the house market.
no, you'll get
Turns
eaten
back
by
around.
inflation rats,
Mhm.
which
That's
is
true,
always the problem.
Which is always a problem. So I'm
You'll
like,
have to
I
give
might as
everything
well
you made
just
from
Yeah.
this
stay
sale
on
to
that.
help your brother pay off that house.
No.
Well, then you're all going to be kicked out because he's not going to be able to afford it.
Oh, he can.
He's not
He
going to
doesn't
be
have.
able to.
Oh, yeah, he can.
When the crash comes, he's not going to be able to.
No, the
No.
crash is good for them.
He's.
The crash
Yeah.
is good for everybody. See, like the idea that inflation is bad is totally wrong. Inflation is fantastic because it makes our debt miserly, right? Like it makes our debt small in comparison if wages only actually rose with
And-
inflation,
And you
Which
have.
hasn't happened
which
since
hasn't
Carter
happened
dollar.
since
but
Carter
your
dollars.
but your loans are locked at a certain interest rate.
Sure,
So
but it's not
even-
that. His house isn't going to be worth what he's paying on.
Maybe not.
So if his house, if he
But
bought it
he's-
$500,000,
But he's also not
crash
planning
comes.
on. But he's also not planning to sell.
sure,
That's
but he's still
his-
going to be paying $500,000 for his home that is worth $150,000.
No. It doesn't make sense this way. If you bought really high, right, and you sold low, you would do what I would say is my mentality on
Well,
buying stuff.
That's how the stock market works, right? You buy it, buy, sell it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens to me, right?
Poor choices. Anyway.
But when it comes to housing, it's a bit ridiculous. If you bought high and you don't sell it, and then inflation strikes, and if things are normally things are supposed to happen this way, wages have to keep up. Like this hasn't happened since Carter, so or Reagan.
Our last good president.
Right.
Good
So,
quotes.
but
No, he's our last good president.
And-
he's genuinely good. He's still building homes.
Okay,
he's
that's
90 something.
Okay.
You're right. That's fair. Sorry. Go on, Phil.
in a functioning democracy and capitalistic market, what would happen is that inflation rises, so do wages, but debt stays the same. In a normal situation, this would occur. It hasn't occurred to us. In my lifetime, at least, I haven't seen it actually in action.
It hasn't happened since Carter.
Hasn't happened since Carter, but this is good for people who have debt, student loans, and mortgages and such, because what it does is it trivializes the total amount that they have. And then when the housing market hits, your house is now only worth $200,000 in the open market instead of $500,000 in Biden dollars. And then that's great because then your property tax is now pegged to a much lower amount. So you don't have to pay as much.
But you still lost $300,000 on your investment.
You only lost it if you realized it. Like you only lost it if you sold it.
So ignoring
Yeah, but
financial
you're-
consequences for your purchases means you won't make a bad financial purchase.
Exactly. The longer you ignore problems in life when it comes to the housing market, the better off you are, and I'm being dead serious. Because if you actually don't sell emotionally and you just keep your shitty house, eventually the market goes good again in theory, and then you could sell it then. And that's exactly what people would do about catching the knife. People are waiting in Biden time.
But we're not catching the knife. It's all a sword of Damocles. It's just going to kill us.
Oh yeah, I mean it
I mean,
killed us.
potentially. That is
Nobody
always-
catches the sword of Damocles.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That is
Yeah, it's
a
true.
real possibility if shit really hits the fan and we don't have a country with money anymore. Then yes, then it was kind of a fucking waste, right? But then your debt doesn't matter either. So there you go.
Like
No,
in
but
the,
then the debt will matter because
Well,
we will still have
yeah,
like a
but-
weird oligarchy at that point.
But your debt won't. Like,
I mean, we can finally be Russia.
I mean, so but you're not.
Already are.
Most people don't. Most people don't fork over all of their assets to buy a home. Like they put a down payment
Excuse me?
and then
Yeah, I don't know what responsible people you're talking to, but everyone else in the real world does that all the time.
you
Yes.
put a down payment, then you get a mortgage when you buy a house.
They go all in for their down payment. All in.
Yeah.
I mean, I know.
did not.
Okay, good
Yeah,
for-
and
good
you
for
bought
you.
this when the
Yeah.
market was coming out of the crater because
That's
of
fair.
mishandling of mortgages
Yeah.
that should have bankrupted our economy. But because at that point our government was like, wait, hold on.
We're not doing
What if
that.
money wasn't real?
And then, well,
And then you're like, wait, it
money?
never was.
Yeah, we could just we'll just give people money, not print it, so we won't actually have Weimar Republic inflation. We'll just give it to the banks that already have the money,
This works.
and we'll say they have the money now.
This tracks.
Guys,
Brilliant.
What if we just print the money?
Should we just solve all the world's problems?
Frank, get out of here. You don't need to hear this.
Just cries.
Yeah, you bought your house just like I bought my dwelling in the beginning of the Obama years. So in Obama dollars, it was the best time to do it.
It was.
The dumb thing, I was a poor schmuck. I didn't have a job for a year. I should have bought a house. I would have been fine.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about catching this knife is that it didn't seem fine at that time. So we didn't think when I went all in because I didn't have much for savings. I was still living with my parents, working a draftsman wage to scrounge enough money for 20% down on $100,000 Obama dollar time frame. And the issue I have here is that like I didn't have any buffer by the time I had to sign the paperwork and they gave me the keys to the house. I could barely afford the mortgage plus the insurance plus the HOA plus the bills. And then like I had a cell phone bill and that was freaking me out. And that's when I started the clock. And so at that time I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing here? This is like really risky. But I was like, YOLO or whatever. Okay, whatever. We'll just fucking figure it out.
The first time YOLO was ever used by a millennial. Phil.
Thank you.
2010.
And so it wasn't a good feeling for me. Like, because I look back at that time and I was making $45,000 a year in Obama dollars.
Jealous.
As a draftsman. Right. Which is pretty good for a draftsman. I mean, keep in mind that I went to school for, mechanical engineering and that I was overqualified for this position, but it was the only job that I could get. And now when I look at that job today, like, it's the same wage.
$45,000.
It's 45.
Took a decade. It's raised 1,000.
It's 40, maybe 46,000 Biden dollars, and that doesn't buy you shit.
Does not.
Well, it gets you a used car from 2012.
You can live in an apartment and you can have a used car.
I don't know if you can live in an apartment now. Even that's getting like.
That's getting.
No, you're right. You're right.
The reason I haven't moved out of my shitty apartment is I haven't had a better option.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And my apartment, I paid too much for that shitty fucking apartment.
Well, I will say, putting a down payment on the house right now would be a terrible idea right now because it's too expensive. Doing that and then having your mortgage payment is way better than just constantly raising rates and rent for a shitty.
Right, but if you are at the point where you only can rent, you can never accrue that.
You can't. You're stuck.
Yeah, you're stuck. There's no way you can afford a down payment on this.
The only
because
way,
you're paying everything into that rent.
Only thing I was able to do was like I talked to the older generation and they're like,
gross.
well, the thing I did was I just cut out all my credit cards. I just really knuckled down and saved, and I bought my dream house that she had an architect for, designed just tailored for her.
Oh, it'd be nice.
And it was like
nice.
3,000 square feet. And I was like, sweet, dude. Like, when did that happen? Oh, well, I worked really hard for it. It's like, yeah, no deal. Like, no worries there. But like, when did you build this house?
I worked really hard for it, Phil.
And it's like, oh yeah, it was during the Reagan time. And I'm like, okay, that tracks,
yeah,
right? It's like, no, but you don't understand. Like, we worked really hard for it. It's like, I know you worked really hard for it.
Yeah, we're not saying you did. We're not taking that away from you.
You did. But you also
made more for your work.
Yeah, right. You were respected for your labor. That doesn't happen anymore.
You got paid for the work you did at a fair price. We're getting paid the same you did, and we have to pay more for services and other things now than you ever had to.
When I said the same story about being a draftsman in the Obama dollars, right? She's like, wow, you made so much more money than my husband did, and he was a electrical engineer. And I was like, okay, well, how much did he make when he got out of college? Oh, he was only making $35,000. I was like,
how much were cars at the time?
And I was like, well, what did he get out? And he's like, well, he got out in
that's a year for it takes 2 years to buy a house and a car.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I got out in Reagan era, like Reagan dollars. I was like, Reagan dollars 35K is way different than Obama dollars at 45K.
Mm-hmm. Hugely different.
It's like it's night and day difference.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, I mean, we didn't have internet and smart TVs and stuff like that. Look, I get that. Like,
you had a fax machine. That was hell, but still.
Yeah, it's like there are things that didn't exist back then that are way better now. Don't get me wrong, but like things that I need to survive and live with, like a house and shelter and just healthcare and stuff like this, they're way more affordable back in Reagan times than they were. And so like I'm trying to bring this person into like modern day thinking of like, look, in Biden dollars now, that doesn't mean jack shit, but my wages haven't increased since I got out during the like late Bush, early Obama times. Like if I would have stayed as a draftsman, it would have been basically flatlined, but everything else is increasing in cost. So inflation totally sucks because in normal inflation times, your wages are supposed to match it like Weimar Germany, but we're not like that because we're assholes. So everything just raises in cost, but then nothing like happens for income. Like Okay, so then we're like Japan? Yay! No one's gonna have kids ever again.
Pretty much, because you can't afford it.
Right.
You gotta cut somewhere, and you're not cutting services.
So my thought here is that people need to peg real dollars talked about back in the day to some time frame, and I think political administration timeframes are messy and they're attributed to the wrong person, but it's better than nothing.
Wait, or now hear me out. Instead of being attributed to a, administration or something like that, old people just keep tabs on where the economy is and how shitty it is for younger generations, and maybe express empathy as opposed to derision because their kids were giving
That's
everything.
asking way too much.
Dude.
Fuck the
Maybe.
young people.
Hey, Mike, drop.
Yeah.
Also, love you, Mom.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Mom.
You bore me into hell.
How dare.